Hi, a question a lot of people ask me: why do you not leave Egypt if you hate it so much?
Why? Why?
Well, today I'm going to answer that question. Kinda. To give a full answer, I would have to reveal a lot of personal details about myself, you see, which I don't want to, so I'll keep those to myself. But since you're here, I'll make it worth your while. I'ma tell you the less personal ones that apply to everyone. I made a checklist here, as you can see. That's about it. Take care.
Got him!
Just kidding, there's more to it. Although money is the main issue, you see, our money, Egyptian pounds, don't mean shit outside of Egypt. Hell, even here it's barely holding up, so no matter how hard you work, if you don't have a top paying job, you will end up living comfortably here at best, but realistically you would most likely be struggling right now with inflation and everything going on in the world. Regardless, there isn't really much room to save, and even if you do, when you convert your savings to actual money so you can travel, aka euros or dollars, it won't mean shit. Definitely not enough to even visit, let alone relocate somewhere else and start over. And if you're somehow living in a bubble and you don't know why it's hard to save right now, well, besides the increasing cost of living due to inflation and the fact that income sources aren't scaling with it, there's a lot of bullshit methods the government uses to suck money out of the citizens, one of which I've talked about here in my last video. That's the main issue. The other two basically come down to just because I'm Egyptian. You see, the Egyptian passport isn't really worth much. Pretty much any worthwhile country will require a visa and a ton of paperwork to be done. And if you think your first world paperwork is a pain in the ass, well, Egyptian paperwork is like crawling through a fiery pit naked, mainly due to the ambiguity in the rules or lack thereof altogether. And anything that could be done in 2 or 3 steps ends up being done in 6 because you're trying to figure out what the fuck you should even be doing. Especially if you're doing it for the first time, and the bureaucracy definitely doesn't help either. But I digress. Another thing, which isn't really an obstacle but definitely an inconvenience, is how shitty our reputation has become outside of Egypt. As an Egyptian, even online, we are viewed as bad people and preemptively treated cautiously. Rightfully so, of course. I don't blame anyone for being nervous when they learn that I am from here. The next thing has to do with the military, like everything. You see, military service here is mandatory for most males. There are a few conditions that get you off the hook, such as medical conditions, which, by the way, they assess for themselves and can very well push you into service anyway, even if you have a crippling condition. I've known people with serious visual impairments who got thrown in anyway. Another condition is being a lone brother, because that means you provide for the family after your father. College doesn't get you permanent relief, but they do let you postpone your service until you graduate. If you graduate or drop out, you are mandated to do your service, otherwise you're a fugitive. And as a fugitive, good luck finding work or traveling. You need a travel permit to do that, and to get that, guess what? You go to the military, which means they will find out and not give it to you, and probably also fine you before dragging you to your service anyway. Could escape service by stalling until you reach 30, because that is the maximum age for it. Then you go to them and pay a fine and move on with whatever is left with your life. I mean, if you're 30 and still haven't had any job, you might as well just go
to sleep permanently.
Unfortunately for myself, I don't meet any of these conditions, so they are on my ass waiting for my graduation. While you are in college, you can travel, but your student passport is only valid for 6 months. Additionally, you are prohibited from travel once you reach your last 2 years of college, so you cannot escape your service. And even before that, you are not guaranteed to get your passport approved if it isn't during summer or winter break, because traveling mid-semester makes it look like you're trying to dodge service. Basically, you are held hostage here until you either pass 30 or do your service. Unless by some miracle you go do the medical check and they give you the blessing of deeming you unfit for service. I know a lot of countries have mandatory service and that we aren't special. I don't know if other countries hold their citizens hostage like this until they do it, but whatever, that's not the point. The military service here is a roulette basically. Let me explain how it goes. First, you can have one of 2 main types of service. An officer, which is likely to be less painful but is 3 years long. You're more likely to get thrown there if you're an engineering graduate or some other top college. The second type is a regular soldier, aka cannon fodder. Now for my case, I am certain if I go, I will be a soldier, so I did some research looking up people's experiences there. If I'm lucky, I would end up thrown in one of the military's civil projects, doing some regular routine job like retail, driving, or whatever other low-end work they have for me. I might not even get to learn how to use a gun. in the military, which sounds absurd, I know, or I could end up as literal cannon fodder on the border, patrolling on a mountain in the scorching desert far from anything. Absolutely worst case scenario, I get thrown into some skirmish in Sinai and God knows if I even make it back, which, you know, I wouldn't really mind dying for a good cause, but for Egypt, fuck no. Especially not for the very same people making it horrible in the first place. I would literally rather shoot myself in the head. With a Nerf gun, of course. While on your service, you use your own money. Besides supplies for the job, you only get your monthly pay, which is going to be for me as a trash mob, something under £1,000 a month. That's less than $100 a month. And as an officer, it's not gonna be much better. So to summarize, service here is basically pretty much free labor for the state, at your own expense, for a country that already milks you dry and treats you like absolute shit. Not to mention, of course, all the bullshit military life entails. And add on top of that, the fact that your commander has absolute control over you while you serve. And if he's an asshole, which is very, very likely, well, you're in for a great time with them. I am yet to see someone do his service and say it was positive. The best I've seen was bearable. And you are held hostage until they get their pound of flesh from you. Is it possible to escape it? Sure, but to do so, one needs money, which, as I said, is hard to do. Even harder now with no way to make money online, as I explained in my video. Again, it's a pretty good video. I suggest you watch it next if you haven't, or if you already have. Daddy needs the watch time. That was weird. I hated that. Anyway, yeah, if you like this video, give it a like, share it with someone who might find it interesting. If you have questions or suggestions, leave it down below. And if you're Egyptian, مش عاوز تعريس لو سمحتوا عشان الواحد على آخر مش طلباكوا خالص يعني. That's about it. I've got nothing more for you now. Take care.